Hello, everyone. I just thought it would be interesting and fun to show you behind the scenes at BritSimonSays.com. Tell you a little bit about me and about how I answer your questions. And I thought it might be kind of interesting for you, and it explains some of the things I ask of you. So, a little bit about me. I'm in America because my wife won a green card in the lottery in DV 2014. Um, because that was announced in DV 2014, since 2013, I was studying. In fact, I was studying a little bit about the DV lottery system in 2012, but 2013 is when I studied and learned as much as I could about the lottery system and in 2014, of course, processed my own case. My wife is Spanish, so my own case number was something like EU 31,000 and something, which was quite high for that year. Although, and I had been told fairly early on that I wouldn't get a chance. But in the end, the numbers went very high that year, about 40,000 something. And so we did get a chance. We became current in June. We processed by adjustment of status in America in September. And I was already here on an H1 visa. The H1 visa, by the way, cost around about $10,000 to process. So compare just an H1 visa, temporary visa, for which gives you 6 or 7 years in the country, to the price of the DV lottery. The DV lottery is without a doubt the simplest and fastest and cheapest way to get a green card. It's beyond compare. So if you win, you really are lucky. Anyway, I formed my blog in 2014, I believe. I can show you exactly when. And so I just wanted to show you some of the statistics from my site and also the interface I use to answer questions. So let's see. Firstly, start stats or statistics of my site. So today we're here on July 7th, but if I go back and show the history, if you like, of this is clicks, visitors to my site, and clicks on pages, etc. So you can see that in 2014, I actually processed my own case in September, and from October I started posting articles. I had already been helping out on another forum and knew most of what I was talking about, I guess, or quite a lot of what I was talking about. And so started posting in 2014. And you can see that I had reasonable interest, 15,000, 11,000 articles there at a pretty quiet time of the year. Sort of 80,000 hits in April 2015, and then huge amount of hits, or what I thought was a huge amount of hits at the time, in May of 2015 for that year's lottery, of course. It's typical that I get more activity in May and October. Those are my busiest months. And you can see that towards the end of the year, as people are getting their lottery wins processed, the activity on my site goes down, right? So that's fine. I've got some quieter times of the year and I've got some busier times of the year. In my first full year, 2015, I had 1 million hits in the site. 2016, about 1 million, just a little bit more. In 2017, there's been several mess ups in the way the DV lottery is rolled out, and so I had a very busy May in 2017, or so I thought, and the activity on the blog was increasing anyway. 1.8 million hits in that year. In 2018, same thing. I had another big May, and as soon as people start processing the cases in October again, there's a lot of activity on my site. So 2.5 million hits almost in that 1 year. And then in 2019, I had a massive amount of hits on my site because of the problems with accessing the site. Essentially, it was just overwhelmed. It gets overwhelmed every year, but this year was particularly bad, I think. And so I'm, on track to get another 2.5 million hits this year. Average of 18,900 a day on my busiest month ever. But I typically average about 5,000 hits a day. That's fairly interesting, I guess. In terms of posts, I've posted 400 times almost. I've posted 400 articles. This is the back end that I see. Here's when I create a post, it's listed here. It shows whether it's published or not, when it was published. I published an article 3 hours ago, and you can see that I publish fairly regularly, 6:30, 6:29, 6:22. So, over a 1 week period, 3 articles there. And individual posts have their own statistics. So this is the views on that particular post. So I guess is this 327 views? That sounds low. Let's go back a bit. Okay, so this is, yes, 10,000 views, for example, on one article, a busy article in one particular day, June 22nd. So this kind of shows you, some of the information there. Let me just go also to here. So I want to show you, let's see if I can do this for years. I want to show you where my activity comes from. This is the years that I was mentioning earlier. 1 million views there, 1.8 million views or hits, 2.5 million there. So it's interesting. 2.5 million hits there from 558,000 visitors, views per visitor for, and how many posts I published? 58 in 2018. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, right? And then what's also interesting is where the views come from. I always find this fascinating. So I have been visited, if you like, by people from roughly every country in the world, almost every country in the world. If I scroll through here, there are not many countries that are not represented. There are people visiting my site from all over the world, and that's exciting to me. That's just this 2019, but you can see, for example, from Canada, 13,000 people, 300,000 people in the United States. They can't all be me, so I come from the UK, 24,000 people from there. Here are the countries in Africa. Let's see where I'm busiest. So Ivory Coast, not very busy. Ghana, quite busy. This is just this year, right? Nigeria, not very busy. Lots of people in Cameroon. Ethiopia, I'm busy. South Africa, got lots of hits from there. Let's have a look at Russia. Russia, 21,000. There are some good Russian language sites. So in Eastern Europe, Russian sites are helping those people. But as you can see, even Mongolia, 4,000 hits from Mongolia in 2019. China, not so many. Of course, China is not eligible to participate in the lottery, so not many from there. Australia, so 17,000 from Australia. Madagascar, a couple of thousand there. Interesting to me to see where people are visiting my site from. I actually don't get very many visitors from South America, strangely. I have family in Argentina. And I speak Spanish, I speak French, German, and Spanish reasonably well, but I'm always mystified why I don't get more hits from South America. So by all means, South Americans, come and see me. So there you go. I thought that might be interesting too, just sort of scanning over some of the countries here, just showing you where people come to my site. My wife, as I mentioned, is from Spain. Spain is not a very active country in the lottery, but I get a few hits from there, and pretty much everywhere. Sweden, Norway, you name it. So anyway, that's kind of interesting. Thought you might enjoy that. If we do the all-time views and just see, this is that same map, but not just limited to 2018. That might take a moment to draw. That's, of course, that's a lot of data. Might come back to that. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so lifetime, I've had 1.5 million hits from USA. Well, let's find, by the way. So let's have a look in Middle East here. Azerbaijan, okay. Saudi Arabia, UAE, yeah. I'm interested in seeing Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, yeah, Turkmenistan. Seeing where I'm getting activity from in in this region, which I find fascinating also. Nepal. Nepal's a very big country for visitors to my site. 293,000. So compared to India, much bigger. Get a lot of interest and questions from Nepal. So anyway, hope that's interesting to you. Again, here's the league table of countries that have visited me. So perhaps you've only been using my site for a few days, perhaps you've been with me for years, I don't know, but you can see that your country, your countrymen and women are represented, have been helped, I hope. Some people have been visited and hopefully have left happy. Other people don't like my comments, fine. That's fine with me too. Okay, what else can I show you? I wanted to show you how I answer the questions. So if you are in the front end, let's say you're in any one of these articles, and you post a question, your view of the world is the questions here. And I often say to people, please press reply. Click the reply button when you're answering, because it keeps the messages in context. And I'm sure sometimes people can't understand why I'm asking for that, because perhaps they've got a message there and the message immediately above perhaps is their own message, and so they think I have context. But I don't answer in this front end. I answer questions in the back end in this version of the system. And in this version, I can't see all of the context unless you give me some context. And if you have something, if you've answered, you replied, for example, this one here has replied to an earlier comment, and I can right click on my own name to see what I've said or what the conversation was to that point, right? So I can now understand the context. It makes it easy for me to jump to what I said or what you last asked, and that's why I ask people to use the reply button. So please bear that in mind and make it a little bit easier for me, please. Over here in this area, I will have pixelated this out by the time you see the video, because here I see people's the username they've posted, I see their email address, and I see their IP address. So the IP address is sometimes useful to me to understand where people are posting from. It sometimes helps me understand if someone hasn't given me their region, I can make an assumption, or they can't be certain of which region they might be in based on their IP address. So so that's kind of interesting there. And what can I do? I can reply to a question. Actually, I'm in the trash bucket here. So if I show you at the top, I trash repetitive questions, by the way. So if you repeat something 2 or 3 times in different articles, I just trash it, because I really don't have time to answer the questions multiple times. So so here you go. This is how I can deal with stuff. These are actual real questions that have come in the last few minutes, and so you can see roughly the flow. I get questions every few minutes, all throughout the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I work for a living. I have a family. I have a daughter. Right now I'm decorating her room and working on woodworking projects, and in between working on woodworking projects, I come in here and answer a couple of questions. So I wake up in the morning. As soon as I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I grab my laptop and answer questions. I answer questions several times a day, and try and give you as much interactivity as I possibly can. But you have to remember, I'm only one person. And so please show some patience. I do sleep several hours a night, like most human beings. So there will sometimes be some cases where you'll ask a question, I won't immediately respond. So please show a little bit of patience with me there. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful for you and interesting for you, just showing you a little bit of the behind the scenes at BritSimon. By all means, let me know what you think of this, and if you're some sort of WordPress expert and you have tips and advice for me, I'd love to hear about that as well. If you think there's a better way I could be doing this, by all means, let me know. Okay, guys, thank you.